Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Good morning. Thank you all for attending the 21st commemoration of the terror attacks on the United States of September 11, 2001. The 9/11 Memorial Committee of Lackawanna County has been doing this particular ceremony since 2005. So this is our 17th year at the park. Through the support of Lackawanna County, the county commissioners, the Parks Department, and all the other employees of the park, we are able to continue to do this. My name is Charlie Spanow. I am the chairman of the 9/11 Memorial Committee, and again, I welcome you. We're going to begin, there he is, with Pastor Terry Drost of the Peckville Assembly of God with invocation, which will be followed by the National Anthem sung by Anne-Marie Dupre, and the Pledge of Allegiance, which I would ask Congressman Cartwright if you would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. Terry?
Thank you, Charlie. Morning, everyone. Morning. Here to remember loved ones that were lost on that fateful day, September 11th, the year of our Lord 2001. And there's so much information that has gone out over the years, over these 21 years, but today my assignment is to just lead us in the Lord's Prayer. And I just want to point out one thing. A lot of good things came out of this. One thing that was to see our Congress united together, whether they were Democrat or Republican, on the steps of the Capitol building, if you recall, singing God Bless America. And I don't know what it is about trouble, but trouble can unite us, right? And I think if we've learned anything, that in the day and age we're living now, we need to be united again, no matter what party, right? One nation under God. So let's pray out loud together the Our Father, if you would, please. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. May God bless you all today. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Anne-Marie? Please rise for the National Anthem and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me as we pledge our allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms.
Thank you, Congressman, and we appreciate your attendance. You may be seated. There's Rabbi. "21 years ago today, on the calendar, was a beautiful, clear, amazing sky, not just over New York City, Washington, or Pennsylvania, but over the whole country. Not a cloud for thousands and thousands of miles. An amazingly clear day, one that my wife says when she was walking to work over the bridge on her way downtown really was so stunningly beautiful it caused her to stop and look and enjoy the blue. An hour later, there were clouds, burning black clouds, flames, and falling people. The attack, besides the initial evil and horror of it, was in a larger sense an attack upon Western civilization, the democracy and the freedom of this country. And it was done by people who, in many respects, had a 15th century mentality. Everything we have, every single thing each one of us has ever enjoyed in our entire life has been because of the freedom granted by God, guaranteed by the Constitution, and protected in this country. We must never let anybody from any side, right, left, up, down, or sideways, take that away. We must resist that. We must oppose that. We must stand up for this flag, what it represents, not what it is, but what it represents. Now, as we go through the day, we will see many, many events today on television. Tonight is going to be, well, it's going to be all over. I have a cousin who was a fireman in the New York City Fire Department. We have our firemen here, our police officers, EMT, and the United States Marines. They would be the first people to go in and face the danger, while the rest of us are probably looking for a place to hide. My cousin's debrief statement is online, and he talks about hearing the people who faced a bitter choice: smoke, fire, or jump. It's a chilling document, and he doesn't like to talk about it. We must remember these folks, not just all those folks who died, these people here, which we'll get to a little bit later. I want to ask Commissioner Chris Shermack to come up and say a few words, because without the continued support from the county and their efforts, we would not be able to do this on a regular basis. Commissioner?
Thank you, Charlie. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. McDade Park, this is one of our premier parks in the county, and it's great to be here this morning. First, I want to thank our first responders, our service members, our vets, and our Gold Star families. Without their sacrifices and what they do every day, we wouldn't enjoy the things that we enjoy every day here in the United States of America. You know, as a fellow lifelong first responder, I know what it's like. We're a family. We're not coworkers. It goes beyond that. It goes beyond friendship. I mean, the things that you do, you don't think twice. whatever it takes, you do it. So my hat's off to all of you, and for what you do every day. You put your lives on the line, so thank you very much. 21 years, it's hard to believe. How many people here remember exactly what they were doing when they found out what was going on? Absolutely. I know exactly where I was and what I was doing, not knowing what we were up against. It was a pretty dark moment and a pretty dark day. But we did, like Pastor Terry says, it brought our country together. And I know, Congressman, and it takes us. We need that again. You know, things are tough right now. Country's hurting. We're all suffering. And we need to get back to those days. And I work hard at that every day. I know you work hard at that every day. So we need to continue that. But one thing I can tell you is I'm not known for long speeches. So that's about all I have to say this morning. But thank you for all coming out. And God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll fill up all the gaps in long speeches. I talked 5 hours a day for 35 years in front of a bunch of imprisoned children. No. I'd like to now ask Pat O'Malley to come up, and we're going to move on to a most solemn and significant part of this ceremony, the fireman's bell ceremony, an always moving tribute to the firemen, and in a larger sense, all the first responders who answered the last call.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's always an honor and a privilege to be here. August 17, 2001 was the date of my son being born. So I was in a position where I was able to have multiple weeks off from work. So I was sitting on the couch on September 11, 2001 with my son. My wife she was afraid of him not waking up in the middle of the night, so she'd have me watch him every night because I used to work at 11/7 shift. And if everybody saw a baby, they breathe so lightly, I'd be like, oh my God, is he all right? And, try to wake him up. But I was sitting on the couch really, really tired. It's around 8-something in the morning, and my mother called me, and she said that a plane had run into the World Trade Center. And she said, turn on Good Morning America. And I remember I turned on Good Morning America, and I'm holding my son, and I'm looking at the screen. And it's funny, it's weird, but it didn't look like a big hole. It just didn't, on TV. So I said to my mother, maybe somebody screwed up and it was a pipe or cover or something, ran into the building. Well, as I'm sitting there, we're watching, the smoke's bellowing out, and the firemen are getting there. All of a sudden, the other jet went into it. I remember I said to my mother, we're at war. Now, with that being said, those who are over the age of 21 would remember what September 10th, 2001 was like. Our country was a whole different country. We freely got onto planes. There wasn't a war. There wasn't something missing. But that next morning, beautiful skies, a beautiful sky blue day. I remember thinking to myself, it was a beautiful morning. I was holding my son. I was up since all night long. And I was looking out the back window of the house. I said, what a great day. And within 2 hours of that, we were in the middle of hell. And you think about where we've gone since. It's 21 years later. That's just amazing to me. But on that day, the line was drawn in the sand. It was drawn in the sand by our firemen, our policemen, our EMTs that were running into that building when everybody else was running out, running for their lives, scared, running for their lives, knowing there was a good chance they were going to die that day. They didn't know. They never seen anything like this. Bullet towers are on fire, up high. They can't get to it. The elevators are on fire. They can't go up the elevators. They have to trudge up the steps with all their gear. They're getting people out. They're saving lives. That's what the job is. And they're thinking to themselves, what about my own life? No, I'm saving everybody else. So I'd just like to applaud all of our EMTs, police, and firemen here today, and all of them that were veterans there that day, that were there in security, that got all those citizens out of that building. And then the other heroes that were on that plane that received those phone calls. They received the phone calls. The third plane that was still in the sky, most of them were coming down. We're trying to get everybody on the ground as fast as possible to determine how many planes were going around that were going to crash into other buildings. And they got calls from their loved ones. They're running planes in the buildings. This isn't just a regular hijack. They don't want money. They don't want someone let out of prison. They don't want to land somewhere far away. They're going to kill you today. And they decided that they were going to draw the line in the sand that day, that they were not going to go off into the darkness unheard. They were going to fight to make sure that that plane did not crash anywhere else. And that plane was brought down in a field in Pennsylvania. And they were true heroes, because they wanted to get back to their families, and they had a desire to make sure they got off that plane. Now, they might not have got off that plane, but they made sure that plane wasn't used as a bomb, a missile, a death machine to go into large buildings. They made sure of that. So, with that being said, I think about our modern world, 2022. Our country is the greatest country in the world. If you're not an American, you want to be an American. This is a country that was made up of immigrants, poor people, people that wanted to express their religion, that wanted to have life, wanted to raise a family, wanted to move on. They wanted to go somewhere to cultivate, build businesses, live a life, have freedoms. Our country has all that. We have to make sure that all of us are on the same page. We shouldn't have a great divide in our country. We need to come together. And it shouldn't just be some bad situation that brings us together. We should realize what we have and not let it destroy ourselves. Because the only people that can destroy the United States of America is Americans. And we should not let that happen. So I ask everyone, please, try to get along. Try to come to a satisfying friendship or relationship. We need to live in a world that has always been free. And if there's no United States of America, there's not going to be another country like this. So please today, shake a hand, say hello. You know, our political differences mean nothing. It's about making sure that America's free and that it goes on forever. I'd like to thank everyone for being here today. Please remember everyone that lost their lives on 9/11, all 3,000 citizens, especially all of the heroes of that day. Thank you very much. Oh, what do you got for Charlie? Ladies and gentlemen, the most solemn service, and I really mean, I think it's the most incredible thing to hear, is the calling of our firefighters called back to the station. At this time, I'd like to introduce the Scranton Fire Department, our heroes, our EMTs, our policemen, who are the heroes of our community when we go to bed at night to make sure we're safe. At this time, I'd like to introduce the bell ceremony for the Scranton Fire Department.
Detail. Fall in.
Chief. I'd like to thank the chief for being here today. Thank you, Chief.
Detail. Okay. Huh.
The men and women of today's fire service are confronted with a more dangerous work environment than ever before. We are forced to continually change our strategies and tactics to accomplish our tasks. Our methods may change, but our goals remain the same as they were in the past: to save lives and to protect property, sometimes at a terrible cost. This is what we do. This is our chosen profession. This is the tradition of the firefighter. The fire service of today is ever-changing, but is steeped in traditions 200 years old. One such tradition is the sound of the bell. In the past, as firefighters began their tour of duty, it was the bell that signaled the beginning of that day's shift. Throughout the day and night, each alarm was sounded by a bell, which summoned these brave souls to fight fires and place their lives in jeopardy for the good of their fellow citizen. And when the fire was out and the alarm had come to an end, it was the bell that signaled to all the completion of that call. When a firefighter had died in the line of duty, paying the supreme sacrifice, it was the mournful toll of the bell that solemnly announced a comrade's passing. We utilize these traditions as symbols, which reflect honor and respect on those who have given so much and who served so well. To symbolize the devotion that these brave souls had for their duty, a special signal of 3 rings, 3 times each, represents the end of our comrades' duties and that they will be returning to quarters and now completed their tasks. Their duties well done, they have given their best. For our fallen brothers and sisters, their last alarm, they have gone home.
Present all. Present arms. Order, arms. Parade, rest.
At this point in our program, I want to ask Sheila Schaffler to come up and read the names of the locally deceased. For those who may be unaware, Lackawanna County had 2 civilians who grew up here, who died that day, one in a plane, one at the Pentagon. Sheila?
Good morning. Thank you for being here. My name is Sheila Schaffler, and my husband was Daniel Schaffler. These are the names from Lackawanna County. Laura Lee DeFazio Morabito, American Airlines Flight 11 passenger. Jerry Moran Jr., the Pentagon. Daniel Christian Schaffler, paramedic volunteer, Ground Zero, World Trade Center, 9/11. Military, George A. Pugliese, Pennsylvania Army National Guard. Eric Slobotnik, Pennsylvania Army National Guard. Dennis James Veeder, United States Marine Corps. Stephen R. Tudor, United States Army. Sergeant Jan Michael Arganish, Pennsylvania Army National Guard. Scott Rowan Ball, Pennsylvania Army National Guard. Larry Michael Johnson, United States Marine Corps. Patrick R. Dolphin, United States Marine Corps.
Anne Marie, Amazing Grace, for their souls.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved.
We're nearing the end of our commemoration. It has been said many, many times, I think mainly in the military world, that the worst thing that could happen is to be forgotten. It is our goal, our desire, to not let these people ever, ever be forgotten. At this moment, I would like to ask Congressman Cartwright, Commissioner Shermack, Chief Carroll, Chief Judge, and Sheila to escort the wreath to the representation of our monument. Folks? We have a representation because it's raining outside. We don't want to swim away. Thank you. I'd like to ask the newest member, or one of the newest members, I think, of our religious community in Scranton, Rabbi Spitzer from Temple Israel, to come up with a benediction, after which we will have the firing salute. We'll have God Bless America, then the firing salute, then taps.
The lady. I wonder what she thought as she stood there strong and tall. She couldn't run away. She was forced to watch it all. Did she long to offer comfort as her country bled, with her arm forever frozen high above her head? She could not shield her eyes. She could not hide her face. She just stared across the water, keeping freedom's place. The smell of smoke and terror somehow reduced her size, so small within the harbor, but still we recognized how dignified and beautiful on a day so many died. I wonder what she thought. I know she must have cried. O God, giver of life, we ask for your continued blessings as we remember the victims of terrorist attacks of September 11th, those people who died in airplanes in the Pentagon and in the World Trade Center, and those who have died since then as a result of their efforts at assistance after the attacks. We pray that the souls of all the victims be granted eternal peace. May their families and friends continue to be comforted and uplifted by their memories and the love of supportive friends and family. Help us to remember what it means to be Americans, a people endowed with abundant blessings. Help us to cherish the freedoms we enjoy and inspire us to stand with courage, united as one nation in the midst of any adversity. May our world soon become a place full of blessing, prosperity, and peace for all humanity. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Anne-Marie. God Bless America, followed by the Marine salute with the firing of the weapons, just in case it gets a little loud, and taps, and that will conclude our commemoration for the day.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the
Detail, again, up. Forward, arms. One step forward, about face. 3 steps forward. Ready. Aim, fire. Aim, fire. Aim, fire. Recover. About face. Present arms. Order, arms.
Thank you all. Never forget.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind